Mama ever say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there osia dem yopo.
What I'll say, Mr. Okansi, right away is that we would always need lay people to participate in the justice system. We'll always need it. Look, Article 125 of the Constitution says that justice emanates from the people, blah, 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 and the people may participate. So, you know, we have jurors. Yeah, we have jurors. So that tells you that citizens participate in such matters. And you know what? Using jurors did not start with Ghana, right? We've had jurors for several hundreds of years. I can remember in the US, the way the second president, John Adams and co, fought to have the jury system established in the US. You know, a lot of the initial pilgrims in the US, they came from England, etc. So they copied what pertained in England. And to date, you see that the Americans have made it better. Look, and let me tell you, it's not only in Ghana that sometimes you find lawyers saying that non-lawyers should not participate in the justice system. In the UK, just earlier this year, they were attempting to abolish the juror system. The way people came out and lashed out at the Deputy Prime Minister, Lamy, and co. So they recoiled. So the good thing about what lawyer Afenyo Markin is doing is that it will serve as a warning to government in choosing the tribunal chairman and other panel members not to choose hawks, die-hard NDC people. You don't want die-hards. When a die-hard is a judge, it is terrible. He can't hide his party affiliation. So Afenyo and the minority, their noise is good. It's good for our democracy. It is nice to warn that this is not an opportunity for die-hards, that's party hawks, to be appointed, but moderates, because listen, you can't run away from it, that in such appointments, people who are affiliated to the NDC will be appointed. It's unfortunate, but that's the way it works all over the world. And you know, we've cited President Trump's example, even on the US Supreme Court, where he promised voters that, look, if you vote for me, I will send people to the US Supreme Court who can strike down Roe versus Wade. That's the law, the US Supreme Court case that made abortion free. Let's say abortion was generally allowed, dating from the 70s, something that's over 40 years old. Yet Trump, as an electoral promise, said he will appoint people to the US Supreme Court to do that job, and he was able to do it. So, and even Ghana here itself, if you go back to our history, we've had lots of judges who have had one political color or another, from Edumua, Bosman and Co, Olenu, many Supreme Court. So the noise is good, so that no die-hard. We don't like die-hards. But of course, moderates and people who are quiet sympathizers will make their way. And as we continue making noise this way, we refine the system. As for the tribunal system, we cannot say that it shouldn't come on, but rather the debate should be how we will get the best of our citizens to go in there, the best, so that it won't be a party agenda, like what Abu Jinapor mentioned, which is that you get some party apparatchiki who go and occupy those. And as I said, as for saying party apparatchiki, if we say, you know, party apparatchiki will be appointed, it's farcical. It won't happen. That's, in other words, party people will get it. But ones who are very moderate, ones who put Ghana first. So you see me saying this. We all know that a year and a half ago, election 2024, said vote for NDC, vote for JM, etc. This government came, things that are not good, we say no. Like the way bail is being weaponized now. You see, I've joined the crusade, we are talking against it. So you need people who would put Ghana first, but not party affiliation. Our party needs to jail 100 people so that the next election will look good. So no matter how, just jail anybody. No. Okay? So that is what we should be looking at. Because as you referenced earlier, the tribunal system has always been in Article 142, 143, etc. It's been there. And it's not only in Ghana, like we said. In the UK, they still use the tribunal system. Internationally, you hear International Criminal Tribunal, etc. Yes, International Criminal Tribunal. You see the one that tried Charles Taylor, other people, the ICC. And the ICC, see how many African countries former leaders have been tried or going through trial, etc. So our key thing should be the persons who will be appointed and other things to make sure that it works. So in that line, if I have a minute or two, may I mention that even though on Saturday I was excited that if you look at the Schedule 2, when it comes to the Galamsey cases, they say that when the trial starts, they should finish within 42 days. But now it's been clicking me that, hey, it appears 42 is too ambitious. So, because even the developed countries, the UK, etc., some of the cases you have, 6 months. So this 42, it has caused me to now think whether really we can do it. Yes, because NDC have the majority, they can pass it. But you're asking yourself that, hey, how many trials can you finish within 42 days?
42 days.
You look like too much of stress. And other things we can talk about. So these are the conversations we should have, how to make the system better. But as for saying there should be no tribunals, no. And like this other argument, it's just like in the when we're in the military regime. Yes, Chairman Rawlings and his people, the soldiers in Burma camp, they had free reign. They could come into town, a big person could go and report you, then they'll come to your house, and then take you to Burma camp, discipline you, etc. The same Chairman Rawlings, when we started constitutional rule, you see that practice of soldiers coming to brutalize citizens willy-nilly has died down. Now we still have it here and there, but if you compare what was happening before the Constitution 1992, you see that there's been a drastic reduction. I dare say at least 95, 97% reduction. Right? So what I mean is that the tribunals as they existed in the PNDC era can certainly not be the tribunals we are about to start here.
Okay.
And I also mentioned that I came and met the regional tribunals. From the little that I saw, they were using law. It was far better refined, okay, than those days, like the way the military people would come and pick you, PDC, and all those things. No. This is not a PDC. I think sometimes we want to confuse the tribunal with a PDC. The PDC people, those days, they could just come, take the person, go to the market square, ask a few questions,
and that's why
some
Jinapor talk about it bringing nightmares because of that kind of history. But I thank you. This is just a beginning of a conversation that you and I know we will have in the next 48 hours ahead of us. So I wanted to reserve a few of your arsenals for Saturday morning, because we'll have some time to deal with this matter. Thank you. Thank you. Martin Bebo is private legal practitioner, joining us with his initial thoughts about the matters happening in Parliament as we speak. This is happening live right now. Parliament is still in session. We have eyes on what's happening in Parliament, but let's still stay in Parliament, because earlier today, and that's coming up next, former Justice of the Supreme Court, William Atuguba, took on Parliament. Why? Because he says that they are seeking something more than just the interest of the people that they represent. So they are not pursuing the mandate of national development, but rather partisan interests and individual interests. He said this while delivering the Justice D.F. Adan Memorial Lecture in Parliament earlier today. Take a look.
I see this Parliament as standing for something else than the interests of Ghanaians. That's how I see it. Some of them are good, but others are immersed in loyalty to the party and to whoever for the time being is president, maneuvering to progress along the political ladder, irrespective of honesty, fairness, good service to the people of Ghana. But the ship of state has tilted very, very ominously. Happily, as I say, all is not lost. There are some people who are good politicians.
Well, he mentions a few names as the exceptions. Andy Apiakubi, former member of parliament for Santiachim North, a legal practitioner as well.
As standing for something else than the interests of Ghanaians. That's how I see it. Some of them are good, but others are immersed in loyalty to the party and to whoever for the time being is president, maneuvering to progress along the political ladder, irrespective of honesty, fairness, good service to the people of Ghana. But the ship of state has tilted very, very ominously. Happily, as I say, all is not lost. There are some people who are good politicians and of the mindset of Justice Anna.
Well, he mentions Andy Apiakubi as one of the politicians with the mindset of the late Justice D.F. Annan. And Andy Apiakubi is former Asante-Achim North Member of Parliament and a legal practitioner as well. He's joining us on Zoom. Good evening. Thank you so much, Andy Apiakubi, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. You must be a happy man tonight, hearing the respected Justice William Atuguba praise you, celebrate you for your work as Member of Parliament. He said just leading the crusade against the former Finance Minister alone was one that you should be commended for. Giving you a good night's sleep, isn't it?
First and foremost, I say good evening to you for the time that you're calling me. I just got home. But I received the information in the afternoon. Somebody shared the video with me. And indeed, I am very grateful for the recognition that I received from such a noble person in society. And I'm very encouraged by the kind words he said about me and the encouragement that he also showed to others, my colleagues in Parliament, those who are out of Parliament like me, and those who are still there. So I'm very grateful to him for the recognition, and I'm so inspired.
Indeed, inspired you will definitely be, and rightly so. But he's not happy. He says, aside from you, your colleagues, and not just this Parliament, he references Parliament itself as an institution, and the members of Parliament not serving the good of the people, and that you oftentimes pursue your personal interests over and above, and your political party's interests over and above the interests of the nation and the constituents that you represent in Parliament. Is it a sentiment you would agree with?
Well, sometimes, yes, we could say that. But some of us also behave in Parliament for the cause of the nation and for the cause of our constituents. And indeed, even out of Parliament, sometimes I write memos and send to the appropriate courtesies. And indeed, today, for example, I was sharing my issues with some of our ministers. You remember also that in time past, we discussed the issues of public lands and their management and how people take advantage of, pre-acquisition owners and the like. And we particularly discussed the Achimota forest lands. And the minister will tell you that I was always on his head telling him that it is not right to dissipate the only forest that we have in the whole of Greater Accra, inner city forest. And therefore, I was so impressed and so happy that yesterday he ended the day by annulling the existing executive instrument that operated to attempt to distribute part of the Achimota forest land, for example. It was not for nothing that we engage even him in the discourse. So even out of Parliament, I'm supposed to even write a memo for him on Tuesday in respect of
Okay.
the Galamsey
Galamsey,
issues,
okay,
how
right.
to combat Galamsey and the like.
I see, and I appreciate you for this. And Dr. Rashid Rahman is also joining us as the director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs.
We need to go back to data and evidence, recent data and evidence, so that at least this, but at least a reflection of what Ghanaians, and maybe by extension, if we look at other parliaments where we have worked around the continent, what the citizens are saying. So first, if you take Afrobarometer data, I think the most recent data from 2025, it says simply that trust in particularly elected and representative leaders is, I think, on the low. I think, the lowest that it has been for many years. To the extent that in Ghana here, if you look at the data, I think Ghanaians trust the presidency more than parliament. And Ghanaians trust the military more than both parliament, the presidency, the opposition parties, the ruling parties, and so on. Then you go out of our continent and you look at data from International IDEA, which is based in Sweden. I think their data shows that today democracy globally, particularly on our continent and specifically in our sub-region, is faced with severe headwinds. People prefer other forms of government than, what we have that we describe as democracy, which is epitomized by the idea of representation, which is what members of parliament are there to do for us. Then just today, I came out of a conference. For the past 3 days, we have been at Kempinski Hotel, a conference which was represented by almost all the people who work in our kind of space from across the continent. There were people from as far as Lesotho and other parts of the continent. And we were looking at the financialization of politics on the continent. And if you listen to the data and figures about how much it costs to run for office, across the different kind of countries and regions of the continent, Alfred, is mind-boggling. So democracy is now for auction. Getting a seat at the table in parliament and getting a seat at the presidency is now down to, not ideas, but, the color of money. So you put all this together, I think, it summarizes what and supports what, Justice Atuguba is saying. I think he's only repeating what we already know and what the citizens of the different countries of the continent are saying and what the citizens of this country are saying.
Dr. Rashid Rahman, thank you.
The indication as we have it from the majority leader, which partly prompted the walkout by the minority, is that they are going to proceed to pass this law, which is a critical law legislation. Now, when this law is passed tonight, it gives effect to what Parliament is supporting, that there should be that revival of the district as well as the regional tribunals to deal with specific cases, including mining, tax, loss of state property, and the rest of them. This tribunal system is going to have, an adjunct more or less authority like the High Court. And so it is an important law, but the minority, as always, are taken against it for what they think are bad memories associated with this law. So we are still keeping tabs here to see whether that is passed before midnight or even after midnight, probably. But currently, they are almost through with all the clauses of the bill.
But it is definitely the Section 4, which was a big matter of misunderstanding that led to the minority walking out, isn't it?
Exactly. And when you delete the Clause 4 of the bill, basically, then the entire bill becomes useless, because the Clause 4 is what is establishing the district as well as the regional tribunals, all right? And then you have the adjunct clauses, the other clauses that would deal with, for instance, media coverage of proceedings of the tribunals and whatnot. And so once you take away the Clause 4, then the entire bill or intent is basically thrown out. And so once the minority has lost both on the voice vote as well as the head count, then the majority side can quickly, swiftly go through the rest of the clauses, and then they are good to pass it.
Of the majority members, Mr. Speaker, they are 113. But, Mr. Speaker, in the interest of democracy, we haven't registered our protest. Okay. Mr. Speaker, since the majority leader has indicated that they will not listen to the views expressed, including that of organized labor, Mr. Speaker, we are leaving them. Debbie. I take responsibility. Let's go. There's no point. Mr. Speaker, the majority leader has let the cat out of the bag. He says that the door is shut. It is not only the minority that is raising issues against this bill, but organized labor has also done so. If he says they want to go ahead, Mr. Speaker, if he says they want to go ahead, and Mr. Speaker, when the majority leader speaks with all his authority, say, today, he says he will pass. Mr. Speaker, the Constitutional Review Committee has spoken against this bill. They said they will do what they want to do. Mr. Speaker, we are Democrats. We are not going to be part of this Rambo style of, Mr. Speaker, destroying the judiciary. They started by sacking the Chief Justice. After sacking the Chief Justice, they also allowed contingency fund account to be garnished. Now they want tribunal to be made up of non-lawyers, non-judges, to prosecute people. Mr. Speaker, they should do what they want to do.
On point of relevance, you are being out of order.
So what you're just saying is the minority has just walked out of Parliament because of this development regarding a head count on whether or not the Section 4 of the Tribunal's bill should be removed from the bill. Well, per the head count, those who voted that no, it should remain 135, including the First Deputy Speaker presiding over the business of the House. You heard that. And so that is what the Minority Leader, Afenyo Markin, has been lamenting about, and marshalling his troops to walk out of Parliament. So this is what is happening right now. What you're watching is a live videos from the floor of Parliament right now. This is what is happening in Parliament as we speak. The minority has just walked out of Parliament. It's just after 10 p.m. What has kept them in Parliament all this while is the Tribunal bill, which is being considered. Let's cross over again. Let's take a listen to the First Deputy Speaker. Take a look.
Taken away from him. I'm therefore exercising my vote to support the no, making the no 135. The total number of votes cast is 151. Honorable members, the Supreme Court's decision in the case of Justice Abdullahi versus Attorney General is now part of our Standing Order 1525. And I read, where a Deputy Speaker or a member is presiding, the Deputy Speaker or a member shall communicate his personal votes to the clerk at the table to be added to the collated results before the results of the vote are declared. So the decision of the court is captured by our own standing order. So the total vote for today is 151. Honourable members, can we make progress? Clause 5. Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, we had already taken clause 5, but let me just go over it. Amendment proposed, head note, delete tribunals and insert.
We have taken a vote on the 5 before he brought us back to 4. So we now move to clause 6.
6, yes.
Our contention as minority is that this bill seeks to create a parallel system, an analogous system, unbeknown to the Constitution, if we read all provisions of the Constitution as a whole. It is true that mention is made tribunal system in our Constitution, but context must be interpreted within the broader scope of Articles 125, 126, and 127. We have a judiciary system. District courts, circuit courts, high courts, court of appeal, and the Supreme Court. If there are issues with the system, the way to go is to reform and to resource, equip, and retool. It is not to create a parallel system with coordinate jurisdiction. Now, if you look critically at the clause 4, which was the subject matter of this long debate, basically, you look at a new court system, a new, I don't want to call it a court system, a new adjudicatory body, where you say one person presiding as a chair must be a lawyer. but the other two must be non-lawyers. And they are going to preside on criminal matters. We reminded Dr. Ayeni himself, the Attorney General, that when he was in practice as a private practitioner, and he dealt with this case of Tagore and Issa Abbas, the Republic versus Tagore and Issa Abbas, he argued forcefully that a judge sitting in a criminal trial must ensure that prosecution lead evidence of probative value proves all essential ingredients of the offense. That was his argument at the Court of Appeal, which was upheld. That to deliver justice is not about chobe or media headline screen. It's not about how the public perception about an individual is, because that can be misleading. Now, what we see in this whole exercise is to create a system where people would be pronounced guilty even before their case is properly determined. No established procedure of ensuring fairness. And it is not only the minority that is complaining. Today, organized labor has come out loudly to re-echo its position on this matter. That we don't need a tribunal system in our country anymore. Tribunal system, we know what happened in the PNDC era, where people were targeted, assets were seized, and those people who claimed they were tribunal members enriched themselves. We know that record of the NDC, their predecessor, PNDC. So we, the minority, have left the chamber because the majority leader decided to shut the door. In Parliament, we believe that in all situations of disagreement, there must be a window to discuss, to raise the concerns. But once the majority leader makes a strong pronouncement that whatever the case, they will not listen, they will use their numbers to pass the bill, then there is no point again. Every other effort will be rendered odious. Every other effort by us will be rendered nugatory. You recall that earlier in the day, when we raised this issue, the majority leader, realizing that he didn't have the numbers, immediately called for suspension of the House. So he used the 5 hours to marshal his members into the chamber. Even so, those present were not even up to 150. They were 113. We, the minority, counted. They were not up to. Yet, those who counted claim that the NDC members were more than that. You are the media. You can get in and do your own check to validate what we are saying. We tell you truth. We will not say anything outside of the truth. So it is clear that the Yentio Bia syndrome has set in. They don't want to listen to anybody. And this is for say, Omuntio Bia. Omutisa Choboy, Sesebi, Asem tu obi, no mu kobo obi kwedua, omwase so omo party member say, omunko dinase. Omunko sizin krofo eja pade, edi krofo kotu efiase, omun endi omasem yi. Yen na yen say your court system no order. Ghana no your district courts, your circuit courts.
These things are textually incorrect as far as the Constitution is concerned, because as you yourself drew his attention to the provision in Article 126 of the Constitution and 142. But let's start with 126. It provides an integrated judicial system that includes regional tribunals, and that also includes such lower courts or tribunals as Parliament may by law establish. And Mr. Speaker, this is exactly what we are doing. In terms of the regional tribunals, what we are doing is just simply amplifying the provisions of the Constitution in 126 and 124. In terms of the district tribunal, what we are simply doing is implementing 126 by creating a lower tribunal that will deal with criminal matters that have been specified in the bill, including those of illegal mining. So, Mr. Speaker, we are not creating a parallel justice system. We are simply amplifying what is provided for in the Constitution.
Is it going to be in charge of civil matters or criminal matters? Mr. Speaker, I am asking rhetorically. Respected Leonard, you must listen to me. You have your opportunity to have a bite. This is unfair. Respected Leonard Attorney General, first gentleman at the bar, this approach is wrong. This is wrong. You have your bite.
Honorable Minority Leader.
In the mic.
Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Attorney General, please, both of you should resume your seats.
I'm your senior.
Honorable,
but I'm your senior here. And
please,
I'm your senior here.
Both of you should resume your seats.
Chaos. That is what the tribunal will do. What you are doing is what the tribunal will do. They should let us speak.
Both of you resume your seats.
The tribunal system. This is the tribunal system. This is the tribunal
Honorable
system.
Minority Leader, Attorney General, both of you should resume your seats.
Tribunal system of justice. Tribunal system of justice. That's what you are practicing.
Well, so what you just watched is what preceded what we've just been showing you happening live on the floor of Parliament, culminating into the minority walking out as we speak. So what's happening in Parliament right now, as Parliament is still sitting, it's just the majority MPs that are going through the process of consideration of the Tribunals Bill 2026. This is the section that has caused all of this, misunderstanding or disagreement that's led to the minority walking out. And it is this same section that led to the head count. There was actually a voice vote, and the minority said, look, they are not convinced about the voice vote, so they asked for a head count. The head count is what led to the majority now represented by 135, including the first deputy speaker, who also had a vote as a result of the case that Justice Abdullahi tested at the Supreme Court, whether or not a presiding deputy speaker has a vote when it comes to the business of the House. So, yes, Bernard Ahiafo did vote that this section must stay. That's what led to it. And you heard Afenyo Markin indicate they counted the NDC MPs in Parliament. They were not up to 135. But then again, well, the result of the head count is that NDC MPs, or the majority side, 135. This is it. In furtherance of Clause 2 of Article 125, Clause 1 of Article 126, and Article 142 of the Constitution, there is established by this Act a tribunal system which consists of a regional tribunal and a district tribunal. 2, subject to the Constitution, this Act and any other enactment, a tribunal shall operate as an independent body and presided over by 2 lawyers and 2 non-lawyers. That is where the issue is. And this is why I bring in Martin Pebo. It is private legal practitioner. And Counsel, good evening. Thank you for joining us. And you've been observing what's been happening in Parliament as we speak. And then also the positions of both the majority and the minority regarding this particular Section 4. And the fact that the minority, apart from some of Jinapor last week indicating that the mention of the tribunals brings them nightmares, they say that to the extent that the chair of the tribunal will be a lawyer, but then the other 2 will be non-lawyers who would be presided over criminal matters, and they don't have legal background. It could create problems for, that's the position of the minority. I want to find out what you think of this.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Now so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.